All-Pro middle linebacker Luke Kuechly remains in the concussion protocol for the second straight week, and strong safety Kurt Coleman joined him there this week. And then there's Mario Addison, Al, who leads the Panthers with 6.5 sacks. He is out tonight with a foot injury. Yes, Michelle, they are really playing with a short deck on that side of the ball. The tradition here, the 12s is what they're called. Ricardo Lockett about to be introduced to the crowd. He was a wide receiver for the Seahawks between 2011 and 15 and suffered a career-ending injury last season. So Ricardo will get to hoist the flag above the Hawks' nest here at Century Link Field on a really nice night. Rained a lot yesterday, blue skies for the most part today, and the temperature is 41 degrees. No noisier place in the National Football League. There are a few, but it's generally regarded as #1 here in Seattle when it comes to the decibel meter. Seattle to kick off. Carolina, Joe Webb back to receive. He's also their #3 quarterback, Stephen Hauschka. Will put this one in the air, and Sunday Night Football is underway. The kick that's fielded at the 5-yard line by Fozzie Whitaker. And Whitaker gets taken down before he can reach the 20-yard line by Nico Thorpe. Let's take a look at the starters for the Panthers.
Cam Newton, Auburn University. Jonathan Stewart, the University of Oregon.
Kelvin Benjamin, D. Florida State.
Ted Ginn Jr., The Ohio State University.
Greg Olson, the U.
Ed Dixon, Oregon Ducks.
Mike Reimer, Oregon State.
Andrew Norwell, The Ohio State.
Tyler Larson, Utah State.
Christopher Scott, Tennessee. Trey Turner, LSU.
Well, how about this? They start with Derek Anderson at quarterback. He's their #2 guy. They're going to go right to the air on play action, and the pass is intercepted. It's picked off. Mike Morgan will take it to the 7-yard line. So the Carolina Panthers go to Derek Anderson, shocking everybody on the first play of the game. It's juggled, it's deflected, and it's going to be 1st and goal for Seattle.
Yeah, I don't know if could it possibly have shocked Mike Tolbert as well. And the thing just bounced right off of him, and Mike Morgan coming back from his sports hernia injury and has one fall right in his lap. So the home crowd, noisy enough, is going to be insane now as Cam Newton stands by and watches.
And you wonder why he was standing by and watching. I don't know, Ron Rivera, well, he's Riverboat Ron. And that's trying to draw to an inside flush. Thomas Rawls is the running back. Wilson hands it to him. And Rawls, who was their leading ground gainer last season, has been hurt for a good part of this season. Picks up about 2. It's going to be 2nd down and goal for Wilson, who is finally healthy. It's the first time he hasn't been on the injury report since the first game of the season. But still, the numbers are good. He had an ankle injury and a knee injury in the first 3 games. And part of the reason that he didn't run very much was because of those injuries. But last week, he ran for 80 yards in the loss at Tampa Bay. 2nd down and goal. Fake the jet sweep. Wilson then throws, and it's caught at the 5-yard line by Doug Baldwin. 3rd and goal. And we'll take a look at the Seattle offense.
Russell Wilson, the whole pack of Badgers.
Thomas Ross, Central Michigan.
Doug Baldwin, Stanford.
Jermaine Kearse, University of Washington.
Tyler Lockett, Kansas State.
Jimmy Graham, the U.
George Fant, Western Kentucky.
Mark Lewinsky, West Virginia. Justin Britt, LHS, MIZ.
Jermaine Ifedi, Giga Maggies.
Bradley Sowell, Ole Miss.
2 rookies on the offensive front. Wilson alone in the backfield, and Wilson will try to run it in and then shove it into the end zone, and that's almost picked off. Trey Boston almost had the interception, so Wilson looked like he was going to run. Had to be careful not to cross the line of scrimmage, and then a little shovel pass into the end zone, 4th down. In comes the field goal unit.
What a bizarre looking play. All the action is going to come over from this side as Trey Boston dives and really had his hands on that ball. That would have been the most bizarre start to a game we've seen in a long time. But basically Seattle comes out and steals 3 points, but give credit to Carolina's defense for the hold.
23-yard attempt for Hauschka. And that is a pretty crazy 1 minute and 37 seconds to get Sunday Night Football started. 3-0 Seattle. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by the 2017 Kia Sorento. Learn more at kia.com. By GE, we imagine a better world, then make it real. By Walmart, find gifts, groceries, and more this season. And by Sprint, visit sprint.com. Seahawks and Panthers, players given back to the community. Cam Newton, Thomas Davis, Thanksgiving meals in Charlotte. Cam Chancellor hosting a holiday toy drive here in Seattle.
I wish they would have given us a little information about what's going on with their quarterback. This is just a bizarre start to this game.
Right, you begin to wonder any number of things. I mean, injury, sickness, suspension for one game. I don't know. For one play or one series or whatever. And we'll try to flesh that out as the kick is down in the end zone there by Joe Webb. So now, here comes Cam Newton.
Just bizarre. The only thing I'll say is I've been around some teams. They were on the road this entire week, stayed over on the West Coast. Perhaps something happened and Rivera said, okay, you're not starting the game. I'm just wild speculation here. Maybe if they had both quarterbacks in the game, you say it was some sort of a trick, but you're not going to take Cam Newton out of the game for one play unless something happened. I would think. I just don't know.
You would think. I mean, it has to be something. Well, as I said, we'll try to flesh it out as we go along here. From the 25-yard line, you look at Newton's numbers. He was last year's regular season MVP, and the ball is handed off to Jonathan Stewart. For a long time, he's been their #1 running back. And let's take a look at the defense.
Michael Bennett, A.D. Taylor High School.
Ataba Rubin, Iowa State.
Tony McDaniel, Tennessee.
Cliff Averill, Boilermaker. KJ Wright, Mississippi State.
Bobby Wagner, D. Utah State.
Mike Morgan, USC.
Richard Sherman, Stanford.
Cam Chancellor, Virginia Tech.
Earl Thomas, DBU, Texas.
Deshaun Shedd, Portland State.
Once again, that's Seattle defense, best in the league, fewest points allowed, 17 per game. We have a first penalty here. Newton's going to take it and gets tackled up at the 29-yard line. John Parry is the referee tonight. We'll hear from him for the first time. And you've got a penalty against the defense coming across the line.
Offside defense, number 72, lined up in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
Well, Bennett comes back first time in 5 games.
There, and the ball is up in here somewhere, so he just lined up off sides. You know, you stay away for a few games due to injury. Sometimes those ankles start looking a little bit different down there.
Well, he's picked up a few flags.
Oh, yeah.
Got the shirt underneath the shoulder pads. Looking like he's in the NBA right now. 2nd and 4.
This is a makeshift offensive line up front. They could use a first down or two to get settled in this game.
And on the ground, nice run there by Stewart. Looked like he was stopped once, then twice, and he's able to pick up the first down out to the 37. Chancellor comes up to make the hit.
Well, let's start with one of the veterans first of all. Andrew Norwell right there is going to come across on this little block against Ataba Rubin and just take him right out of there. So they do get that initial first down, and they're going to stay on the ground here early.
And Norwell has been the one steady guy this year. Everybody else has either been hurt or out or whatever. Norwell's played every game at left guard, and the pass is knocked down up at the 42-yard line. KJ Wright with the coverage, great coverage linebacker, and he'll be seeing a lot of Greg Olsen tonight.
Yeah, I just don't know if you can come up with a much more underrated football player than that guy right there. KJ Wright's been doing it for a long time. He's second on this team in tackles, has 3 sacks, one of the better cover linebackers around. Doesn't seem to get a lot of credit for it, surrounded by superstar players, but KJ Wright, year after year, one of the best.
And that's why, because you've got the big names. You got Thomas and Chancellor and Bennett and Sherman. So you don't hear that much about Wright. 2nd and 10. Pass to the outside, making the catch. Ted Ginn, but it was all he could do to just come down with it. And he's out of bounds after a short gain of 1, 3rd and 9.
Carolina Panthers know with the entire from the center out to the right side, everybody being shuffled, even if they do throw the ball, they're either going to have to go hard play action of some kind to try and hold these pass rushers, or simply get the ball out quickly. And now you end up in a 3rd down and long. Cam Newton has to know this is a short clock here. He can't hold this ball.
3rd and 9, 5 receiver set. Play clock is 3. Pressure from the outside, tipped high in the air and incomplete. And Seattle almost had its 2nd interception in a little bit more than 4 minutes.
Most teams will do this. They'll spy Cam Newton. This time the reverse Cam. Cam Chancellor is going to jump up and get this thing. He's about a 6'4" safety back there in the middle of the field. You take a look at him on the field and you go, oh my goodness, is that guy really a safety? He weighs about 230 pounds and makes plays like that.
Mike Pilardi had to take over for the injured Andy Lee 3 weeks ago. He's done a nice job, averaging 46.7 per boot. This one is fielded at the 20-yard line. This is Tyler Lockett trying to get around the corner, backs up, and then with a flag down, and that would figure when you run that far across the field and you're going like 40 yards horizontally, sooner or later a flag will be dropped. 43-yard kick for the moment, 23-yard return. But like almost every punt
during the return, illegal block in the back. Return team number 33, half the distance to the goal. 1st and 10, timeout.
John Parry took the words out of my mouth. 10.5 to go in the quarter, 3-0. Don't miss a moment of tonight's game with the NBC Sports app. You can watch the game anywhere, live on your laptop, tablet, or connected TV. It's about 600 feet high. It's the Space Needle here in Seattle on a beautiful night. Back to the link we come after the penalty. Seattle starts this drive from their own 8-yard line. 2nd possession as Wilson rolls to his right, throws, and it's caught. 7-yard gain by Kearse. Let's take a look at the Carolina defense.
Charles Johnson, University of Georgia.
Starlo Lele, University of Utah.
K1 Short, Purdue. Wes Horton, USC.
Shaq Thompson, Washington.
AJ Klein, Iowa State University.
Thomas Davis, Georgia.
James Bradbury, Sanford University.
Michael Griffin, Texas.
Trey Boston, North Carolina.
Darrell Worley, West Virginia.
Those 2 rookie corners. Tyler Lockett is off to the races here. Down the sideline he goes, and he finally gets taken down by Davis, racing all the way downfield to the 45-yard line. So Lockett, the 2nd-year guy out of Kansas State, with a 40-yard reception.
He ends up coming in short motion down here, and they just get confused, and then you get the new safety in there, Trey Boston, who's taken over for Kurt Coleman, just taking a bad angle, and all of a sudden backed up against your own goal line, is now in plus territory.
At the 46-yard line of Carolina, on the ground, and this is handed to Rawls. Of course, one of the guys they're missing is as good a linebacker as there is in the NFL right now. There is Luke Kuechly. We did the Thursday night game in Carolina against New Orleans when he was hurt. Didn't know originally what it was needed to the players, and it turned out to be a concussion. So he is in the concussion protocol. Had a nice visit with him on the field before the game. He hopes he can get back next week, but he's not going to push it. And of course, it's up to the medical staff to determine when he would be ready to play. 2nd and 8. Big hole over the left side, and a spin move by Rawls to net the 1st down.
Well, I like this Thomas Rawls. We had a chance to watch him practice last year around this time. And Thomas Rawls, what you're going to see, Jimmy Graham, a nice block down here as well. But Thomas Rawls was one of those guys just before he got hurt. I remember watching him in practice going, who is that? He was just lightning quick, Came out a couple of weeks ago, did pretty well. Just wasn't quite himself last week. Maybe almost in preseason form, a little sore, a little beat up. But watching him in practice again this week, they think he's razor sharp, ready for a big night.
From the 36-yard line, Wilson going for it all, and a lot of action and contact, but no flag there. Tyler Lockett along with Robert McLean. Simply an incomplete pass, second down.
You know, this is a Carolina defense that's have to reshuffle a lot of very important parts here tonight. Kirk Coleman, their safety and signal caller, is out at the safety position. Luke Kuechly, the other signal caller at linebacker, is also on the sideline, and their leading sacker, Mario Addison, is out of this one. So a little bit makeshift tonight for the Panthers.
No doubt, second down and 10. A lot of talk on the field. Meanwhile, you got Rawls, who's able to keep on going. McLean had him stopped a couple of yards past the line of scrimmage, but that didn't stop him, and he picks up a first down.
You saw Thomas Davis. He's going crazy out there. He thought he saw Thomas Rawls flinch, and he did. Pretty good bluff there by Rawls, like it was all part of some signal. And basically, Davis kind of threw himself out of position by trying to get the call.
And then winds up making the tackle, but the ball is now at the 24. With 7:50 to go in the opening quarter. 3-0 the score, and Wilson's going to keep it. Gets around the corner, and Russell Wilson stepping out of bounds at the 22-yard line, pushed Ryan Dallaire out of the way. So we talked about the ankle injury, the knee injury. He wasn't right. He gained only 79 yards, as you see through the first 10 games, 2 yards per carry. And then last week, 80 yards. He eclipsed his season total in one game at Tampa Bay, though they did lose the game 14-5.
And the other part of it was he started making some of those unorthodox kind of throws, those moving to the left and throwing back to the right.
Play action, 2nd and 8, and a pass over the middle, and that's Jimmy Graham setting up a 1st and goal.
Just that big body over the middle, nothing fancy about the route, just going to come inside, and that hard play action fake is going to hold those linebackers. It's one of those plays that this team just runs so well, and when you have the great receiving threat the way both these teams have on their respective teams, makes it easy.
Seattle started this drive at their own 8. Now they're at the Carolina 8. Rolls. Lots of space and room. Touchdown, Seattle. They go 92 yards, 9 plays, 4 runs, and 5 passes.
Watch the quickness of this cut over here. Is exactly what I was talking about with Thomas Rawls. Just electric, and no way that Shaq Thompson could catch him from there. That's the sort of elite quickness that could really make a difference for this Seattle running game and their offensive line as they try and get some of that forward push. Nice run.
So the extra point now from Housegood. John Ryan to hold it. And the Seahawks off to a flying start. Trying to hold on to that number 2 seed in the NFC. 10-0 Seahawks. Well, around the league, beginning Thursday night through the weekend, including tomorrow night, My Cause, My Cleats. This week, the players proudly displaying the charitable causes they champion or they're on their game day cleats, and you can discover their personal tributes at NFL.com/MyCause. My Cleats, seen a lot of cool ones all day long, including here tonight in Seattle, where the Seahawks off to a flying start. Lead 10-0, and this is a kick that will be run back from the 5-yard line. Fozzie Whitaker back to the 25-yard line. And we go to Michelle.
Well, those cleats, let's talk about Greg Olson's cause. It's the Heartist Yard, the part of his foundation which supports families of children being treated for congenital heart disease at Charlotte's Levine Children's Hospital, where Olson's son, TJ, who was born with a heart defect, receives care. And Richard Sherman's is his Blanket Coverage Foundation, devoted to helping inner city kids with school supplies, also the homeless and needy families during the holidays. Al, good stuff.
Oh, it is, Michelle, and it's been very successful, I think. And probably we'll see it every year on one weekend for sure in the future. Look at Richard Sherman right there. Greg Olson right there. Cliff Averill over him. Newton begins this drive now from the 29-yard line. Fake to Stewart, then a toss back to Ted Ginn. Ginn works his way up to the 35. That's a gain of 6. It'll be 2nd down and 4. Chancellor makes the tackle.
A lot of changes on this offensive line. Mike Rimmers, the left tackle, started at right tackle at the beginning of the year. Andrew Norwell still the same. Tyler Larson, essentially the 4th string center now. Chris Scott comes in at guard. He would have been the 3rd string center. And Trey Turner bumps out from right guard to right tackle.
A lot of paste and a lot of glue. And that pass is caught for a 1st down. That's Kelvin Benjamin. Had a great rookie year. Got hurt in training camp, missed all of last season, and this year he's been a little off and on.
Yeah, but he's that big receiver that Cam Newton can use down the middle of the field, and sometimes you get the feeling that maybe they'll try and match him up against Deshaun Shedd over here, who is coming off of a hamstring injury, and see if they can just play above the rim a bit.
3 receivers bunched to the right side. Newton's going to fire to the left side, and in a lot of traffic, somehow Olson comes away with it with nothing but blue shirts around him. Greg Olson, 1st down.
Now he had to basically throw it over the head of Bobby Wagner, I think it was, who was running right back towards Olson, and it whistled right past his ear hole, right into the arms of Greg Olson. You're talking about a confident throw. That was a confident throw.
Crowd, of course, like no other in terms of the decibel level. Newton gets it off. Newton's going to run it on a draw and take the ball to the 36-yard line, where it'll make it 2nd down and 4.
Well, remember, Ryan Khalil is the guy that would be the center, and so you run up here behind this 4th string center, Tyler Larson. It's so loud, you've got to communicate it individually. And the guy you want to make sure gets it is the center, so he knows when to snap that football. But every time you do stuff like this, in a crowd like this, you're going to get them even more engaged.
So it's 2nd down and 5 now. Newton comes up, in effect, in the pistol, turns and hands the ball to Stewart, and that didn't fool anybody. As Mike Morgan, the outside linebacker, 6th year out of USC, played for Pete Carroll, makes the tackle.
Well, let's welcome back to the game Michael Bennett, one of the all-time greats. You heard Michelle talking about some of the coaches around the National Football League, saying if this guy isn't the best defensive player in the league, he's darn close. Coming back from injury, and they're happy to have him back.
Hand signals here. Nobody can hear anybody. 3rd and 5. Flag thrown.
Wow.
Oh, man. That's, you know what? If that's against.
It's a false start.
It's a false start. But boy, that's a dangerous thing. You're keeping the ball alive by throwing it backwards. That could have been a.
Oh, they blew it dead.
Offense, the 13. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Well, they blew it dead, but how in the world did Newton hear the whistle?
He may have heard the whistle, but that's still not one you want to make there, because the referee's not going to very often make that play. John Perry's thinking, you throwing it to me?
Yeah.
John got out of the way.
Yeah, and if he calls a fall, Parry would have said no play. Instead of Parry's looking as if the play was still going.
Perry may not have heard the whistle.
Right. 3rd and 10. Newton fires over the middle, and that's knocked down, incomplete. Deshaun Shedd knocking it away. Benjamin, the intended receiver, 4th and 10.
Well, welcome back, Deshaun Shedd. That's nicely done right here. These two match up on a little slant, and there you go. Once again, we see it all the time as they walk across underneath, and that's Earl Thomas. Welcome back as well from the hamstring injury, and they said, "Nah, baby, nah, don't bring that in here."
Yeah, Thomas missed his first game of his career last week after 6.5 seasons. So Lockett is back. Polardi, his second punt. And try to deaden this one, and he does. Good kick. Flag down. For the moment, the ball would be at the 5-yard line. And we will get a decision in a moment.
There's a little action going on after the fact. And it looked like one of the Carolina players may have taken a shot.
After the play, personal foul, kicking team number 14. 15-yard penalty, 1st and 10, timeout on the field.
And that is Joe Webb. So that gives them a lot more breathing space for Seattle when they have the ball when we come back. All right, here is what we've learned in terms of that first play mystery. We understand that Newton broke a minor team rule, and Rivera felt he had to have some disciplinary action. It turned out to be missing the first play of the game, and that was disastrous for Carolina because it wound up as an interception and led to 3 points. But that's what we are hearing, and Michelle will talk to Rivera as he walks off the field at halftime, and we'll get confirmation later. Pass along the sideline. It's a 6-yard gain there for Jermaine Kearse. Meanwhile, let's go back to the personal foul, which took the ball from the 5 up to the 20 on Joe Webb.
There's Joe Webb, number 14 right there. A little feint of a blow there, and then KJ right after him, and Webb leads with the helmet. The official's right there and gets him out of a hole.
Now it's 2nd down and 3 with the ball up at the 28-yard line. Rawls. And he's going to get stuffed at the 30, setting up a 3rd down and 1. He wants Short leading the charge that time. 3rd down.
K'Wan Short right here, one of the better players in the National Football League, went to the Pro Bowl a year ago with 11 sacks. Just 3 sacks this year, I think due in part anyway to the fact that they just simply haven't been playing with leads like they were last year, and not quite the same number of pass rushing opportunities.
Play action, pressure put on, but he gets the pass away. And already a big night for Lockett, who takes it out to the 39-yard line. You had Leonard Johnson coming in from the corner, forcing Wilson to get it away, but Lockett gets free and they move the chains.
Here's some of the plays that they didn't do with Russell Wilson in the early part of the season, because he had all these different kinds of lower body injuries, and now we're starting to see him take off and run with the football. We're seeing the bootleg stuff back. We're seeing the scrambles once again, the off-balance throws, and all of a sudden Darrell Bevel feels good about calling plays.
Offensive coordinator sends in a 1st down play here from the 39-yard line. Wilson fires, and that's caught, and that's Lockett again. Tyler Lockett, gain of about 7. James Bradbury, rookie corner. Remember the Panthers, Josh Norman, they franchised him, and then they couldn't come to a long-term agreement with him. Let him go, let him out the door. Plays now for Washington, and they had to draft corners 1 and 2 in the draft in April.
And 5-2, so they drafted 3 corners in the first 5 picks. And those young corners are given a lot of room on the outside, and Russell Wilson saying, I think I'll take it.
Well, that's why one of the reasons Carolina is 29th in pass defense this year. Rawls fighting his way to the 41-yard line. What a run. That's going to take us to the end of the quarter. Rawls, 12 yards there, has already rushed for 34. And at the end of the quarter, it's 10-0 Seattle. And Sunday Night Football resumes after these messages.
When I take all, ain't nothing like Sunday Night Football.
Aerial coverage tonight being brought to you by Geico, Space Needle, Seattle, Washington on this Sunday night. Al Michaels with Chris Collinsworth and Michelle Tafoya. And to the southern edge of downtown, CenturyLink Field, 10-0. And Seattle on the move again at the 41-yard line. They outgained, as you can see, Carolina 133-42. And they begin the second quarter with a first down at the 41-yard line. Wilson 8 for his first 10 for 97. And rolls to the outside, and this time he will get stuffed. Let's take a look at this playoff picture now in the NFC. You've got Dallas, 11 straight wins. They have clinched a playoff berth and obviously in great shape in terms of trying to get that road to the Super Bowl to go through Dallas. Seattle 7-3-1. Detroit wins again, so they are 8-4. Atlanta loses, but they're leading in the South. Right now the wild cards would be the Giants and Tampa Bay, and all of those other teams are still in the hunt. And that is George Fant, the rookie left tackle, who is down and will be back after this. This week, Jimmy Fallon welcoming an array of outstanding guests, including Pharrell Williams. He'll be there. Edward Norton, big football fan, drops by tonight's show with Jimmy. I'm looking out my window last night at about 11 o'clock, and who was on that Ferris wheel? Chris and Holly Collinsworth.
When Miss Holly decides that we're going on the Ferris wheel, we're going on the Ferris wheel.
Yep.
It's quite a sight, though. It really was. It's a terrific city.
There's Fant. They're working on him. Walks off under his own power.
Yeah, he's missed a few plays in the last couple of weeks with a bad shoulder, and watch him at the end of this play sort of grab that shoulder and obviously uncomfortable, and the beat goes on for this offensive line as well. Now down to Reese Odiombo, a rookie, playing left tackle.
And Gary Gilliam was made inactive tonight. So the makeshift line on 2nd and 10. Pass is caught out in the flat by Jimmy Graham. Tough running. Picks up about 5. A.J. Klein makes the tackle. You know, we looked at that playoff picture, Chris. Even though the Panthers are 4-7, they were 3-8-1 a couple of years ago, made it to the playoffs, won a playoff game. If they can win tonight, they'd be 2 back of Atlanta. They still have Atlanta and Tampa Bay to come, so anything can happen.
Rough day for that division today, right? Except for Tampa, and everything seems to be going well. Now all they got to do is come back from a 10-point deficit here and try and get back in it.
On the road. But last year they came from behind, won a thriller during the regular season, and beat the Seahawks in the playoffs as well. It's 3rd and 5. Wilson gets chased, and the pass is incomplete right through the hands of Tanner McAvoy. Would have had the first down. Instead it's 4th down.
It started with a big diamond formation off to the right, and so no surprise here that Russell Wilson's going to go that way, and really makes a great throw on the run. And McAvoy just unable to make the play. Looks like they're going to go for it here, or at least try a little hard count on 4th down.
At the 36-yard line. So passing up an opportunity for what would be a 54-yard field goal, at least for the moment. It's 4th down and 5. And they indeed will go for it, and Wilson is under pressure, and he's going to get sacked back at the 46-yard line. Charles Johnson really having a good year and pays the price here too. The 10th-year man out of Georgia. Been there since 07, having a really terrific season, but now Charles Johnson is the injured Panther. Charles Johnson got the sack, but he comes back to the bench. Here's what happened.
Johnson goes right around the newcomer here, Reese Odiombo, to come up with a sack. Kind of hard to tell what happened to him, but Pete Carroll was over on the sideline thinking he had called a timeout that he did not get.
Nice break for the Panthers. They get it near midfield. Start from the 46. Stewart was almost tackled in the backfield. And then he loses the ball at the 50-yard line. And the Seahawks are right there to recover it. So Stewart almost hit in the backfield. Wrestles his way forward. Gives it up at at the 50-yard line. Cassius Marsh comes away with the ball. Second turnover for Carolina.
Well, Richard Sherman's going to come in and get his head on the ball, but it's KJ Wright from behind, just as Stewart was getting going a second time. And it looked like Ted Ginn had a chance to make that block and maybe a big play down the field for this Carolina Panthers offense. He failed on the block, and then everything fell apart.
To the nose of the ball, right at the midfield stripe. So an interception and a fumble. 2 turnovers. Seattle at midfield. Play action. And he's going to get sacked on back-to-back offensive plays. So Wilson, that time with Coney Ely, he of the spectacular Super Bowl performance last February, gets the sack.
Now they're getting pressure from both sides. Now you come over here against, there's Fant back in the ball game now, and then Coney Ely from the other side. But really that was much more of a sack based on coverage down the field. It's one of the things that Carolina's trying to do with this defense, trying to make Russell Wilson hold it long enough for this front four to take advantage of their banged up offensive line that they think they can.
2nd and 16. Pass underneath, and that will go nowhere. That's Baldwin. Their top receiver, Doug Baldwin, gets taken down. 3rd and long.
You're seeing essentially the same kind of style of play calling now from both coaching staffs. Both of them know they have big issues trying to block the defensive line of the other team. So you're seeing some motion, you're seeing some misdirection, you're seeing some quarterback rollout, get the ball out of your hands quickly. And this 10-point lead is starting to look a little bigger all the time.
3rd and 19 now. But George Farmer in the game, number 39, flanking Wilson. Keep him in the block. Gives Wilson time. Picked off at the 45-yard line. Trey Boston, the safety, to the 48 of Seattle. So after the turnover on the fumble by Stewart, Carolina gets it back, and they'll have the ball on the plus side of the 50.
Watch Boston as he go up here. This safety, they call that a lurk coverage or a robber, and it's exactly what he did. He just came up and robbed one that time from Russell Wilson, who never saw him coming into that coverage. Guarantee you Russell Wilson, about 5 yards after he released that ball, knew he had made a big mistake. So a bit of comedy of errors here back and forth at the midfield stripe, and Cam Newton with another opportunity.
5th pick that Russell Wilson has thrown this season. It's Boston's 2nd interception of 2016. So 10-0, 11:58 to the half. Carolina begins this drive at the 48-yard line. And that's a dangerous pass that Stewart collects. Flag comes in at the end of the play. Bobby Wagner, middle linebacker, makes the tackle.
Boy, KJ Wright almost had about a 50-yard touchdown on that one. He just barely missed that one.
Illegal block in the back. Offense number 74. 10-yard penalty replay. 1st down.
Left tackle Mike Remmers.
KJ Wright saw this all the way number 50 and just slides right out in front of it, and Cam just wide enough to get it around, and right at the tail end is Remmers with the block in the back.
Makes it 1st and 20 now. Newton is 3 of 6 for 24 yards, so he has been very much held in check. And to the outside he goes, and it's caught at the 45, Jonathan Stewart. These guys came into the league, the 2 quarterbacks a year apart. Cam number 1 overall pick. And of course Russell picked in the 3rd round. The disparity right there. Wilson, the shortest quarterback in the league. Wilson won the first 4 meetings between these 2 teams. Cam the MVP in 2015. And of course Russell was there to hoist the Lombardi Trophy at the Meadowlands when they beat Denver in 13.
And about 30 seconds away from a second.
Oh, boy. But wasn't he? Second down and 17 from the 45. Play clock at 1. Fires over the middle, and that's almost intercepted. Earl Thomas. So in a game we've already had, and Thomas is hurt. He missed last week's game with a hamstring issue and gets up very gingerly here.
And that is big news, because Earl Thomas, in my estimation, one of the best safeties in all of football. Just reading Cam Newton's eyes as he looked back, Earl Thomas was off. But this is a guy who very much the heart and soul of this defense. Doesn't say a whole lot, but he is the guy that can just fly sideline to sideline and make plays, and that is not a good sight.
Yeah, the Legion of Boom all gathering around all the DBs, very concerned, obviously, coming off the injury, missing his first game last week. Back after this. Well, there's Thomas grimacing on the bench. Here's what happened.
Yeah, it looked like Cam Chancellor flying for that ball as well. They collide in midair. Just don't know. Here he is coming off. We saw him just a moment ago on the sideline try and stand up, and just sat back down and shook his head and said no.
Stephen Terrell comes in to replace him. He spelled him last week in the Tampa Bay game. Now it's 3rd and 17. Three-man rush. Newton going all the way deep downfield, and it is caught for the touchdown by Ted Ginn. So they go deep downfield. Thomas out of the game, and right off the bat they go after the guy that replaces him. And Ted Ginn, who had not scored a touchdown until a couple of weeks ago, now has his 3rd in the last 3 games.
Unbelievable. This is a Tampa 2 with a middle linebacker here. I'm just going to draw this because ordinarily they would be much closer. They expect the middle linebacker in this prevent kind of style to be able to cover basically down the middle of the field, so they widen those safeties just a bit, and Earl Thomas goes out for a play, and they hit a huge one to Ted Ginn. Amazing. Great job by Cam Newton understanding somebody cold is coming in off the bench, and to take advantage. Was he in the end zone? It was close.
And there is a sight that nobody in this ballpark wants to see right now as Thomas gets the cart ride back to the locker room. Of course, all scoring plays are reviewed, and it's confirmed now that it is a touchdown for Ginn.
Ted Ginn has just been red hot lately. Had an 88-yard touchdown pass last week.
Yep. And this one good for 55 on a 3rd and 17. And Graham Gano now for the extra point to turn it into a 3-point game. 10.5 remaining in the opening half. One thing about Cam Newton, he will let it fly. 12% of his passes to targets more than 20 yards downfield. That's the 3rd highest rate in the league. The average beyond the line of scrimmage that a catch is made at almost 8 yards. And you can make that, add 1 to that right now. 6 pass touchdowns over 30 yards downfield. And we got like Ted Ginn, you got a real good shot every time you launch one, and this one right down the middle for a home run.
Well, and what I love that Cam Newton did there is he put plenty of air underneath that ball. When you throw it that high, it just allows the receiver a little bit of time to try and make an adjustment in the air. Now, Stephen Terrell played really well a week ago, made plays on deep balls all over the park. But give credit to Cam Newton, understanding the guy's probably over there. Maybe he chased a kickoff or two, but probably not completely loosened up. Went right after him, came up with a big one.
Right. And you saw Terrell, who plays on special teams. Graham Gano. 2 yards in. Here's Lockett. Always a threat. And it's Gano himself who has to drag him down. after a really good run back of 45 yards.
Well, there's a reason that Lockett went to the Pro Bowl last year as a return guy, and you saw a bit of a flash of it there. He's had a few injury problems this year. His knee injuries slowed him down, but recently he has been more and more involved in the offense and gave his team a spark after that letdown on third down. You just don't see a prevent defense give up a bomb like that very often.
Lockett's already caught 3 passes for 57 yards tonight. As the run back here sets him up at the 43-yard line. Big hole for Rawls. And Rawls fights his way for a first down. Gain of 12. Gets about 5 of those yards after contact. Broke away from Shaq Thompson. First down.
This inside zone play. And we're going to go right here with Mark Glowinski just driving down. And then you have the kick-out block coming across by Nick Van Nett, the rookie. And that's the same play they scored the touchdown on, and you see some of the toughness there of Rawls as well.
There's Rawls again to the outside. Rawls inside the 30, inside the 10, touchdown Seattle.
Man, what a cut that was.
Thomas Rawls, that's 45 yards and into the end zone. His second touchdown of the night.
Watch Thomas Davis right in the middle of this thing, just knows he's coming right up, and so is it right around there for the touchdown. I mean, that is a lateral full speed cut that completely fooled everybody on the defense, and that's some of the quickness that we saw in practice a year ago, and now here he goes again. Marshawn Lynch is missed, but this guy was the leading rusher a season ago.
Lynch was hurt a lot last year. Rawls got hurt toward the end of the year. They had to go to Kristen Michael, who played here a lot before they let him go again. And Rawls already tonight, 91 yards on 9 carries. Was a free agent, played his college ball at Central Michigan. Hauschka for the point after. And so that Newton bomb gets very quickly answered. The run back, and then it was Rawls to the end zone, and it's 17-7. Well, that's the matchup on Thursday Night Football here on NBC. Oakland and Kansas City. For so many years, a great rivalry. It's been dormant of late, but now back in full force. Raiders winning again today, beating Buffalo. Coming from behind, Kansas City, thrilling win against Atlanta. Eric Berry returning an interception on what would have been a 2-point conversion, and that was the difference in the game. Winner in first place in the AFC West. Thursday night, Oakland against Kansas City. Let's go to Michelle.
Well, some injury updates. Seattle safety Earl Thomas went back to the x-ray room. He's officially questionable with a left lower leg injury, and we can tell you he was unable to put any weight on that leg at all on the sidelines, as you guys saw, and as he went back to the x-ray room. And for the Panthers, defensive end Charles Johnson is questionable with a hamstring injury. They wrapped up that left leg, so we've indicated that it is the left hamstring, guys.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Johnson hurt on the play in which he was able to sack Wilson. There he is trying to work through it on the sideline as the Panthers come out and start this drive from their own 25-yard line. 9:44 left in the half. Seahawks up by 10. Good protection. Pass is then caught for what should be, with forward progress, a first down by Kelvin Benjamin. Well, the Legion of Boom on all 3 play. They're 5-1, allowing 15.5 points per game, 7 picks. But you've had Chancellor missing some time, Thomas missing some time, and when they miss one guy, they're 2-2-1, and that one was that 6-6 tie on Sunday Night Football against Arizona. From the 36, they toss it back to Stewart, and he will get taken down from behind at just about the line of scrimmage. Chased down by Michael Bennett, second down.
You know, one thing we haven't mentioned yet is that Richard Sherman set out a little bit of practice the other day with a wrist injury, so I'm sure that he's not quite as willing to be as physical up on the line of scrimmage. You can see the brace on that left wrist of his. And basically tonight, we have seen a lot of Deshaun Shedd going up against Kelvin Benjamin, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, don't forget earlier this season, Cam Chancellor was out for about a month with a groin injury. Play clock at 2-1. Newton has to take the timeout. They snap it, but he called the timeout in time. So Cam Newton, we talked about at the beginning of the game. Word is a minor team rule was broken, and Michelle will walk off the field with him as she does at halftime to talk to the coaches and get further clarification or elaboration. Take a look at the two quarterbacks tonight. Well, 55 of those 93 yards for Newton came on that 3rd and 17 play. 99 yards through the air for Wilson and 91 yards on the ground for Rawls.
You know, it's interesting, Al, that last year at this time, Cam Newton had 24 scramble plays on the year. This year, at the same point in the season, just 3. So it's been a very different style this year out of Cam Newton, and greatly reducing the touchdown category as well, as he now goes up and tries to out-yell this crowd.
Second down, 10 after the timeout. Gives it to Stewart, and that doesn't fool anybody. Cam Chancellor right there at the line of scrimmage. Safety playing the role of linebacker to knock him down 3rd down.
There we go. We get Cam Chancellor back in there, if I'm not mistaken. That 8th guy down in the box. And so many times teams have everybody blocked and they can't get to him.
Third and 10. Blitz coming. They pick it up, and the pass is too high and incomplete, intended for Benjamin. Jeremy Lane with the coverage, and halfway through the quarter now, it's 4th and 10.
Yeah, they need to get that one out just a little bit quicker. You have to give this offensive line a little credit. That protection was very good against the blitz, but you could see the Cam just waiting and waiting and waiting. When you get that man coverage, get to the 1st down marker and get your head around.
Pilardi comes in. This will be his 3rd punt. Really a block. Fielded at the 15. Lockett. Decent run back. Up to the 25. 7:28 left in the half in a 10-point game in Seattle. Sunday Night Football brought to you by Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL. By Subway, try the Reuben stacked with corned beef. Limited time only. By Toyota, let's go places. And by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. Seattle, of course, big aircraft city area for many, many years. Boeing, the Museum of Flight, has housed aircraft, spacecraft, and other artifacts since '65, and that's Boeing Field, about a 10-minute ride just south of the airport. And another 15 minutes down the road would be SeaTac International. Look at this guy go again. Rolls to the 38-yard line, and he's already over 100 tonight.
A stunningly good night tonight for this offensive line. George Fant, the former basketball player, now playing tackle with a nice play. Mark Lewinsky, probably the 2nd best offensive lineman up there. And there's the best offensive lineman, Justin Britt, the center, missed last week. And it really left a state of confusion, and no confusion now. Tom Cable taking a right and a left from Pete Carroll. That's his offensive line coach. He said they'd play better tonight, and they have.
Pass caught. Graham with Davis, sheds him, and then gets tackled at the 50-yard line by Griffin. So another 1st down, back-to-back 1st downs, gained of 13.
There's a little history out here between these guys. You'll get Graham coming across the formation, Thomas Davis in coverage, and after the play there was a little bit extra. It dates back to the days when Jimmy Graham was in New Orleans, and of course Thomas Davis in Carolina. We'll just keep an eye on it.
They'd see each other twice a season. Now at the 49-yard line. Smacked down. Boy, took a shot there. The line of scrimmage, and that's Davis and Trey Boston converging.
Yeah, Thomas Davis that time said, I'm going to wait for you right here in the hole, and he bounces right back into him and takes a headshot. Straight back. Everybody on the defense happy to see that guy going backwards for once.
Thomas Davis, he's amazing. 3 major surgeries, 12th year, playing as well as ever. We were kind of talking about this yesterday. He's the kind of guy. Is it a Hall of Fame career? Well, you know what? He's going to be certainly considered. It's 2nd down and 11. And that pass is caught all the way to the 30-yard line by Nick Vanette, the rookie tight end out of Ohio State. And that's a gain of 21 yards and already 222 yards of offense for Seattle.
What a play by Russell Wilson. Watch him with the head fake out there, and it's going to open up the seam coming right back inside. So when the linebackers react trying to go out and get to that quick screen on the outside, it opens up the tight end right down the seam. Russell Wilson saw it all the way.
At the 29-yard line. Great balance drive for Seattle. And movement here. Up front. John Parry will so signal it.
Ball start. Offense number 78. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Just to finish the thought on Thomas Davis. He's talking about a guy in the Hall of Fame, 12 years. You know, there's Luke Kuechly. And I think what I said yesterday in the meeting, I believe 1,000%. If Thomas Davis was playing in New York during his career, he'd definitely be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, if you take what he's done off the field, Walter Payton Man of the Year, he probably gets in without a doubt. Just one of those guys that loves the game of football. Deserves it.
Now this is Troymaine Pope. Gets his first carry, and he gets chased out of bounds. He is a rookie out of Jacksonville State, free agent. Thomas Davis talking about 3 ACL surgeries. He had 11 sacks before he was 30, and then he found the fountain of youth, 14 since.
There's really not a whole lot in the National Football League, a lot more fun than watching Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly play side by side. They go sideline to sideline about as fast as any pair of linebackers I've ever seen.
2nd and 9. And again, this is Pope going for a gain of about 2. Vernon Butler, who was their #1 pick last year. I think I said the 2 corners were 1-2. They were 2-3, but Butler was their #1 pick as they went defense in the draft.
It's interesting to see Troymaine Pope in the ball game. I was asking some of the coaches about him, and they called him a rushing savant. I said, what does that mean? He said that one of the most natural runners of the football we have ever seen. We just had to get him in a game, find out what he can do, and they love what they've seen from him.
You, on the other hand, are a broadcasting savant. 3rd and 7, and Wilson's going to take off and pick up the first down. So Russell Wilson not on the injury report for the first time since opening day, and he looks like it.
Remember that Arizona game we did, that 6-6 game, and we just didn't see any of this sort of stuff out of Russell Wilson. He had so many injuries he was dealing with, and now he just is back to breaking down defenses in these key moments. He really runs more to throw than to run. He always has his head up and his eyes downfield, but when they need a big play, he can deliver it with his legs now.
Carolina rushing defense is 2nd in the league. Well, they look like it there, but really haven't looked like it very much tonight. Rawls has gained 103 yards. Pope gets taken back here, loss of 1, 2nd and 11.
Yeah, that's really been a bit of the startling part of this game for me. I thought that we were going to see a dominant performance out of the defensive line of the Carolina Panthers. You talked about it, the #1 rushing defense coming into this game, and yet it's been the rushing so far of Thomas Rawls. It's been the protection of this offensive line and the movement of Russell Wilson that's been the difference.
And that takes us to the 2-minute warning with Seattle leading Carolina 17-7. Coming up to at a halftime, Eric Berry returns 2 interceptions for points. Chiefs beat the Falcons. Bucks win their 4th straight. tied with Atlanta for the top spot in the South. Mike Tirico looking ahead to the big game that we'll have for you on Thursday night from Kansas City between the Chiefs and the Raiders. George Farmer is now the back here on 2nd and 12, and Wilson chased out of the pocket, but still dangerous, throws and incomplete in the corner of the end zone, intended for Jimmy Graham. 3rd down.
And how did Russell Wilson escape that? That was just a jailbreak coming from every direction, and it looked like he was had. They were coming at him 3 different ways, and he escapes out of there and fires one of those off-balance balls that just ended up missing. But I think the big thing, the big difference tonight, Al, is Russell Wilson's ability to go to some of those play-action passes. He is tremendous in play-action, 2nd rate in the entire NFL with a 128 quarterback rating, and they just haven't been able to use it much because they haven't been running the ball this year.
Until tonight, when Thomas Rawls has done a magnificent job, and then a screen, incomplete. Farmer, who had come in, the 2nd-year guy out of USC, that would be their number 3 running back coming into the game, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, and go figure, George Farmer, who was the number 1 rated wide receiver coming out of high school, recruited by absolutely everybody, ahead of Odell Beckham and others, comes in and drops that ball.
So now that means Hauschka will attempt a 37-yard field goal. Made earlier from 23, and that one is down the middle. 1:45 remaining in the opening half, and Seattle extends its lead to 13. Well, it's called the night you love to hate. NBCSN hockey Wednesday night. You got Zdeno Chara and the Bruins, Alex Ovechkin, and Capitals, Boston against Washington. 7 Eastern, NBCSN, the NHL. And Paul Allen, the longtime owner of the Seahawks, also owns the Portland Trail Blazers of the National Basketball Association. And
shockingly, with a computer in front of him.
Yes, right. Was made his fortune at Microsoft along with Bill Gates in the early years.
Incredibly humble guy there, don't you think?
Very good man. Always enjoyed speaking with him. I mean, when you're a billionaire, you own a team and you're walking around with a big credential around your neck, that's humble. Reminds me of like when John Madden was coaching and the credentials hanging from his belt loop.
It was a fashion statement for coach.
Well, the Seattle defense, you go back to 2012, allowing just a tick under 16 points per game. That's 30% below the league average. Compare them to the Bears back 84 through 88. Of course, great 46 defense. Buddy Ryan and the rest, they were 32% below the league average. And it's just amazing. They have a real good chance to wind up for the 5th year in a row allowing the fewest points in the league. Almost unheard of.
They may not admit it, but it's important to them too.
So they start now from the 25. And Newton goes incomplete. We check in with Michelle.
Well, we told you that Seahawks safety Earl Thomas is questionable with a left lower leg injury, that he went back to get x-rays. He left the x-ray room on crutches. No change to his status of questionable. Also, running back Thomas Rawls just went back to the locker room accompanied by the UNC, which means he is in the concussion protocol, Al.
Yeah, Michelle, we're taking a look at that replay, and you can see right there he reached for his head as he took that shot going through the middle of the line. So 2 very significant injuries. 2nd down and 10 at the 25-yard line. And Newton under pressure fires incomplete. You had Benjamin there. The pressure put on by Frank Clark. 3rd and 10. This is a pretty big drive for Carolina. He's going to give Seattle the ball back if they don't convert here. Enough time. And then Seattle's going to get the ball to start the second half as well.
And Frank Clark's having a conversation, a long one, with Cam Newton. That time they put Frank Clark and Michael Bennett down inside at the defensive tackle positions and ran a little cross. I'll tell you, for this makeshift offensive line of Carolina, you don't want to see those 2 guys inside, right there and right there. Good luck.
3rd and 10. That play clock goes to 0, and I'm not sure he got it all because I see a flag thrown at the line of scrimmage. So loud, nobody can hear anything here. Get the call from John Perry in a second. Mr.
Illegal formation. Offense, number 70 was not on the line of scrimmage. Penalty's been declined. 4th down.
That's Trey Turner, and they're going to kick.
Trey Turner, who ordinarily is a guard having to bump out to tackle, said, I need a little help if I'm going to block these guys coming off the edge over here. Step back behind the line of scrimmage. He's got to break the belt line right there, and just behind that.
Yep. You have to have at least 7 up on the line. So Pilardi now. He sends Lockett to the sideline. Flag is down. And Lockett. Whoa. Ooh, man. To the 35. He got a penalty all the way back up at the 37-yard line. And might have a running into the kicker here.
During the kick. Holding.
Nope.
Return team number 58. 10-yard penalty. 1st down.
It was certainly not running into the kicker, which I thought he initially had indicated. Well, order your holiday gifts from NFLshop.com and save 25% off the official store of the NFL, NFLshop.com. How was that Ferris wheel last night, that ride?
Spectacular. I mean, it really was. It was a lot of fun, and of course you have the Space Needle, you have all those other things, and I don't know, you feel like a kid again. You're going up around and circling around, taking some pictures.
You're not a kid anymore.
No. You should have seen me, though, with social media. I look like a kid. I'm sending out tweets and whatever those other things are.
Why? Why do you do that to yourself?
Know. My kids tell me it's important.
Yeah, that's right. You need a nom de plume is what you need. You know what that is. You went to Florida, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you after halftime.
Okay. We'd order one. It's an appetizer. Ball is at the 15-yard line. And that's caught for a gain of about 6. That's Pope. So with Rolls back in the concussion protocol, now you got to go with Pope and with Farmer as the other backs. C.J. Prosise, who's done a great job, he's hurt, so he is unavailable. The pass is caught up at the 30-yard line. That's Baldwin, and Baldwin stays in bounds before getting shoved out. He's their #1 pick. He and Wilson really have something special going and have for years. And now you got a Panther who needs extra time in getting up.
Griffin ended up missing him twice. Missed him there, missed him again, and boy, that was some shot by Jermaine Kearse at the tail end of that play.
Making Worley leave the game, the rookie corner out of West Virginia. The official came over and said you got to go to the bench for at least one play. McLean comes in. He's seen a good amount of action tonight.
Coming right off the back end there, never saw it coming. Jermaine Kearse, and he took a look around at the official to make sure they weren't going to throw a flag on that. Sometimes they can catch you for going back towards your own line of scrimmage. You get helmet to helmet or around the head.
Seahawks have all of their timeouts available. Ball at the 40. Wilson hangs in the pocket, throws a bullet. Graham makes the catch and gets taken down to the 42-yard line by Michael Griffin. And a timeout, a 30-second timeout, back in half a minute. Well, that's quite a sight, isn't it? CenturyLink Field, it opened in 2002. Love the way they built this stadium. It's vertical, so you don't have to crane to see over the people in front of you. And boy, as we know, that sound stays in here. And the 42. Wilson running for a first down and a lot more, and then slides to a stop at the 23 and says, I'll take a timeout right here. Timeout Seattle, back in 30 seconds. So with Rawls, the only experienced back in concussion protocol, you got Pope, 10 career yards, Farmer 0, and that's what's left the running arsenal for Seattle. On first down, Wilson fires. Curse. And he is still going, picks up the first down, gets to the 14-yard line, and Seattle takes its final timeout. So they have 26 seconds, and they're at the 13-yard line, and the Seattle Seahawks tonight have already gained 309 yards.
Can I tell you something?
Sure.
Russell Wilson has been unbelievable on this drive. He's throwing rockets. He's moving around. We're seeing the Russell Wilson who has carried this team to Super Bowls in the past. And, of course, Marshawn Lynch, a lot of other people, Doug Baldwin get credit, this defense and all that. But this is the Russell Wilson that we have seen at his best on display in this drive.
This drive, 5 plays, 1 rush, that was his. 4 passes, started at the 15-yard line. Pope is the running back. 3 receivers set to the right side. He has trouble with the snap, and then Wilson throws, and that's incomplete. Curse was in the area, and now they're down to 21 seconds on the second down.
Now, even that one, though, I mean, you're going to see immediate pressure from Ryan Dallaire coming off his right side and just ducks out of the way of it. And instead of taking a sack and a negative play, it ends up being no gain. Here comes the pressure this way, and watch him bobble the ball, just sort of gently duck underneath it and throw that thing away. Sometimes some of the best plays are the ones that go for no yards.
2nd and 10. Wilson. Throws that one away. Nothing open. And we're throwing down the middle of the field here at this point, especially in a third down. I mean, he's got to go to the sideline or the end zone now. You'll have no time to spike it.
Check out Jermaine Ifedi come right back here, and once again, as Dallaire comes around, Ifedi's going to say, not this time. Not against that quarterback. If we're going back to the Super Bowl, we need to keep him upright, and they're doing a pretty good job of that here tonight.
3rd and 10. Wilson throwing, and that's too deep. Graham, the intended receiver. The coverage was very good by Worley, and that'll mean Hauschka will come in to try to make his 3rd field goal of the game.
Yeah, we've seen Jimmy Graham make this one-hander before, sort of holding off with one hand and going one hand. He should have gone rebounder on this one. He should have gone back up through Darryl Worley and made that play. He was a college basketball player. That's one that take 2 hands, snatch a rebound, might have a touchdown.
31-yard attempt. And Hauschka's kick is good, so he has accounted for 3 field goals, 2 extra points, and it's 23-7. So next Sunday night, NFC East Classic, the way it's turned out. Cowboys, 11 straight, NFL's best record, head to the Meadowlands to take on the Giants. The only team to beat them this year. Cowboys-Giants next week on Sunday Night Football. I don't think we're flexing out of that game. What do you think?
I don't think so. We have some great games coming up this week for sure.
Yep. Thursday night is Oakland KC, and then Sunday night, the Gents and the Boys.
You know, I just keep thinking about the Kansas City Chiefs, and they don't always blow people away, but with the way they've got that defense set now, you know, Eric Berry making those plays, Justin Houston, Marcus Peters, and now that offense perking up just a little bit. They have won a lot of football games lately.
And how about the rule change a couple of years ago where if you run back a conversion, you get 2 points. It cost New Orleans a game against Denver earlier, and it cost Atlanta a game against Kansas City today.
You know, that's such a bizarre position to be in. When you're up 1, you basically have to go for 2 to try it, but boy, it sure flipped around on them today.
Yeah, that AFC West is something. Raiders with another comeback today after they've fallen well behind the Buffalo Bills. And and the Denver Broncos got back on the winning track at Jacksonville. Run it out here from the end zone is Ted Ginn. Looking for something special, but it wasn't there. And that's going to take us to halftime. Seattle's going to get the ball when we start the second half. It's 23-7 home team. Coming up next to the halftime after these messages from your local NBC station.
Tonight's first half highlights are brought to you by Chevrolet.
They start with Derek Anderson, and the pass is intercepted.
This is just a bizarre start to this game.
Deep downfield, and it is caught.
Ted Ginn has just been red hot.
Rolled inside the 10. Touchdown, Seattle.
Man. Chevrolet, the most awarded car company 2 years in a row.
And back we come to Seattle. Score is 23-7 Seahawks. At the start of the third quarter, Cam Newton, 93 yards passing, 55 coming on that one play. Russell Wilson, good first half through the air and on the ground. Thomas Rawls, 103 rushing yards in the first half, most by a Seahawks running back since Sean Alexander a decade ago, and we will get a report very shortly from Michelle on Earl Thomas, who left the game in the second quarter. Al Michaels with Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. 23-7. Carolina last week trailed Oakland 24-7. At the half, it came back to take the lead before the Raiders pulled out the win at the end. And let's go right to Michelle.
Well, I confirmed with Ron Rivera at halftime that Cam Newton was held out of that first play because of a dress code violation. And Rivera told me he has no regrets about letting Derek Anderson throw the ball, which resulted in a pick instead of just handing off. Now for Earl Thomas. We told you in the second quarter he left the game, got x-rays. We saw him on crutches. I just confirmed with Pete Carroll that he has a cracked tibia in that left leg. That's the shin bone. And at halftime, Earl Thomas sent out a tweet, and we'll give you a look at it and read it to you. He said, "This game has been so good to me, no regrets. A lot is running through my mind, including retirement. Thanks for all the prayers, Al."
Wow, that is some tweet for a guy who had this happen to him in the second quarter.
Yeah, he had a streak of 106 straight games broken when he missed that game last week.
Yeah, 6.5 years.
Right back and gets hurt here, so he is not used to being injured.
Right. This is Lockett, and he stays, we think, in bounds. And if he didn't step out of bounds somewhere along the line, he has gone all the way to the end zone. Tyler Lockett, that would be 75 yards, skirts the sideline in front of the Carolina bench. I don't see anybody over there pointing to any chalk or anything. Of course, it's a scoring play, so it gets reviewed. They're looking at it right now. Looks like he's in all the way.
If I were in the NFC right now, I'd be thinking, uh-oh. Seattle Seahawks are looking a whole bunch like the Seattle Seahawks. These guys are getting healthy. Lockett's getting healthy. Russell Wilson's getting healthy. And even those two backup tight ends, Brandon Williams and Nick Van Nett, made huge blocks there.
Yeah, they're getting healthy on the offensive side, but it's the defensive side they have to be concerned about, especially with the Thomas situation. That's Lockett's first TD of the season. Luke Kuechly, he can only look on, still in the concussion protocol, as his team right now is going to be down by 23 after this extra point. So that takes 12 seconds to start the third quarter, and it's 30-7.
And for Charles Johnson right out there, remember, had that hamstring energy. He tried, but that injury just would not let him move at all. And so basically you're playing with 10. And Tyler Lockett made a pay.
Well, the Carolina defense, we're talking about in terms of rushing. They were second in the league coming into the game. It's Kuechly, a lot of frustration right there right now, and they have already given up 213 rushing yards tonight.
And I guarantee you, if Luke Kuechly was that mad, he was mad about either effort or somebody who shouldn't have been on the field at that time, but he was not happy.
Yep. Charles Johnson on the sideline, and for the Carolina Panthers, we started the night by saying last year was a dream season, and this one is a bad dream.
Well, and we go back to, again, Kurt Coleman, the defensive signal caller, Luke Kuechly, the defensive signal caller, and Mario Addison, the leading sacker, all out. And Luke Kuechly looks like he's ready to grab a helmet right now. That is his defense out there. And all those proud numbers that they put up, to watch it get gouged like this is not fun.
Well, Ron Rivera, his pedigree is defense. Great linebacker in his years. Worked under a number of really good head coaches. Down in the end zone here for a touchback, and back we go to the TD.
Check out Thomas Davis here as you see Tyler Lockett fly around the edge. I think Davis thought that maybe he had already stepped out, and he took a hesitation step, unlike him. Tyler Lockett can be such a difference maker. We've seen him really pick apart this punt team tonight of the Carolina Panthers, and now he's doing the same thing on offense.
He's one of those guys, he gets his hand on the ball, and you can see what can happen. He can run 75 yards, he can run kicks back, 3 receivers set to the left, and then they break that. With Whitaker taking the toss here, and Bobby Wagner will knock him down to the ground after a gain of 3, 2nd down and 7.
You know, this is one play by the Carolina Panthers offense on 3rd and 1,000,000, which Seattle's defense never gives up, or this would be really embarrassing for what Carolina has done out here tonight. This has not been much of a performance. I know they're hurt. Their offensive line's a mess. Now their defense and their key guys. But it's just hard to imagine this is a team that went to the Super Bowl in 15-1 a season ago.
55 of those 118 yards on that one play. Newton under pressure, and now Cam's going to run and slide to a stop up at the 39-yard line for a Carolina 1st down.
They're working every different way to help this offensive line. Ed Dixon on the outside basically having to block. I think that was Frank Clark that time. Right over here, these two. And it's one thing if a back's going to help in some way for a tight end, but Cam Newton knew that was a mismatch. This Frank Clark is really becoming a player for Seattle as well. 7.5 sacks on the year.
And that pass is caught at the 49-yard line by Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen, 10th year in the league, started in Chicago. Then the trade, which turned out to be fantastic for these guys. Before it's all said and done, his numbers will be up among the best ever for tight ends. He's been a terrific player and a great guy in the community as well.
Yeah, 790 yards coming in, led the National Football League for tight ends. 2nd, Jimmy Graham on the other side.
On the option here, juggled, and this is Philly Brown. Corey is his given name, and he gets dropped behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, you're going to see a little bit of the sort of triple option here, and you're going to have on the outside, there's Cam Chancellor playing against Cam Newton, but there were 2 guys sitting on the pitch outside, and Philly Brown probably gave him a thanks a lot.
2nd and 13. Come up in the diamond formation. Off the play fake. Newton wanted to go long. Now he's got to spin around. Has to settle for short. And it is Greg Olsen making the catch, taken out of bounds in midfield.
Yeah, we talked about it going the other way, but this makeshift Carolina offensive line's been doing a pretty nice job here as well. That's all the protection need. They tried to hit Philly Brown on a swing route up the sideline, but it was Jeremy Lane who was all over that. Took it away, nowhere for Cam to go, and it was up to him to just scramble around and try to make a play.
3rd and 11. And Newton's pass is caught and then spinning around and trying to get that first down is Ginn. Very close, and looks as if they will give it to him.
Interesting, because he kind of did a hook slide out of bounds. Did the ball get to that first down marker, or did his feet?
Taking a look right here.
So the ball's in the right hand. His feet got across the line.
Those are the official sticks right there.
Did the ball ever get across the line?
Not sure it did, and of course that's one of these things that could be challenged. Meanwhile, you got Turner taking a knee down there. He needs a little bit of attention.
Now, Cam Newton may need a little bit of attention if he loses another offensive lineman. I've never seen anything. There are no tackles left in the league. How many times have we talked about tackles? That ball, I don't know.
Looks like he was short. It was ruled initially a first down on the field, and they had given him a first down. That could be challenged. The spot could be challenged, but I don't see Carroll challenging this. Of course, now that they say that, it'll probably challenge him.
He's having a conversation.
Yep. Meanwhile, we have to address what Michelle was talking about, that Newton missed the first play of the game for a wardrobe violation. Of all the guys in the league to have a wardrobe violation. So what did he do, not wear a tie on the plane or something?
Oh, I'm glad NBC doesn't have that. You and I would miss every opening on camera.
But I mean, Cam Newton, when you see him in the press conferences, this guy's got like 18,000 giddy-ups or get-ups or whatever you call them.
I think we know a little more sometimes, and I'll reserve comment.
From the 41-yard line, here is Jonathan Stewart to the 38-yard line. He's 2nd down and 7.
Yeah, there's just what is fashioned for somebody Cam Newton's age and what is fashioned for somebody Ron Rivera's age. Sometimes two completely different things, and hard-headed guys believe that they're right. The coach ultimately had to say.
Well, if you missed it earlier, Newton was benched for the first play of the game. They had Derek Anderson start the game, and wouldn't you know it, he threw an interception. And Seattle was off and running with a field goal, and they've never looked back. Leading 30-7 as Newton launches one. You got action all over the place, and incomplete. Now Sherman is down, and for the moment, a few hearts stopped in this building with Thomas already out. Sherman looked for the moment as if he might have a problem, but doesn't. 3rd down.
Richard Sherman's problem is he didn't get that interception. That was a nice play going up this way by Kelvin Benjamin just to knock it away, I think, at the last second from Richard Sherman, or at least distract him as it was coming down. Nothing Richard Sherman likes better than those freebies like that.
3rd and 8. Here comes the blitz. Newton gets it away as he got contacted, intended for Brown. It's incomplete. Pressure put on by Averill. Sherman covers on the play. 4th down.
You know, Richard Sherman this year has had to follow a lot of really top-end receivers. I remember the battle against Julio Jones, Mike Evans, some of those guys, and it's probably hurt some of his numbers this year because he hasn't just been playing that traditional side that he's always on. But by doing that, following the top receivers, really helped this football team.
Seattle timeout.
Called a 30-second timeout. Back to Sherman here.
Yeah, there were just 3 games this year in which he tracked a single wide receiver, and you can see that those have been the games that he's given up the 3 touchdowns. He does have the 2 interceptions, but over here when he just plays his traditional left side, no touchdowns whatsoever, and the opposer passing rating of a 50. So you leave Richard Sherman on his traditional side, and I think he's still learning how to do that. I think he's still learning how to play in the slot and on the other side, and he's still the best option they have.
Pilardi to punt. Those numbers brought to you from the world headquarters of Pro Football Focus. As Lockett makes the fair catch at the 10-yard line. 10:08 left in the third. Seattle up 30-7. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency by Amazon Prime. Get free 2-day shipping on millions of items. By the new Volkswagen Golf All-Track with 4Motion all-wheel drive. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sportsman, you got to get DirecTV. That was down at the Tacoma Dome south of here the other night. The Kamiakin Braves won their first state championship, beat O'Day High School in overtime. Seahawks now from the 10-yard line. They start this drive with a handoff here. Rawls is back, so he passed that concussion protocol. Had a big first half. He was up and over 100 yards, but now with a couple of losses in his last couple of carries, he's back down to 99 and a half.
I like his odds getting back.
Me too.
I like his odds.
We had a game earlier this year, right? Somebody went over 100 and then they went back to 99. I forgot who it was.
Which one of the 25 put it in a bit?
It was Frank Gore. That's right, for the Colts. We did that game too. 2nd and 13. And that's caught out here by Doug Baldwin. He gets run out of bounds up at the 11-yard line. It'll be 3rd down.
I kind of enjoy watching Jimmy Graham on this offense occasionally get down in there and block. You know, you don't come to Seattle and be a part of this football team if you're not willing to do everything. And you're going to go out there and he's going to be expected to block. He's going to be expected to come out and run routes. But this is an offense that is a little bit dependent on that guy, not just being a receiver, but making some plays blocking as well.
3rd and 9 as Wilson surveys, fires, caught, 21-yard line, 1st down. That's Tanner McAvoy, who was targeted earlier in the game and had it go through his hands, and this time he's able to haul it in, 1st down.
Working against Robert McLean, the backup nickel guy, and Tanner McAvoy is an interesting guy at Wisconsin. He was a wide receiver, a quarterback, a safety. He had stats in all kinds of different directions. A big target, which they don't really have that much of other than Jimmy Graham, so maybe throwing it up high and giving him a chance to use that size.
To the outside, and this is Lockett, and this time he gets pinned behind the line of scrimmage by Bradbury. We go to Michelle.
Well, while Thomas Rawls got cleared from the concussion protocol, fullback Will Tukuafu is out with a concussion, Al.
All right, Michelle, thank you. So Tukuafu blocking back and also playing the other side of the line from time to time. Talked about the fact that Procise is hurt. He's out for a while. So Farmer and Pope are the guys, but at least they get Rawls back. And then swing it out here to Baldwin. And then Doug Baldwin is out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. And that will make it 3rd and 6. The Seattle Seahawks are now over 400 yards of total offense in 2.5 quarters.
Now, Pete Carroll is a little bit of a different kind of coach. He likes free spirits. He does not rein them in. He believes that you want to speak out over a cause or anything else, feel free. He wants these guys to be individuals, and he gets plenty of them.
He's anything but old school, even though he's the oldest coach in the league.
Yep.
He's 65. And Wilson gets taken down to the 23. Not unusual once in a while down in Southern California in the offseason, and you're off Manhattan Beach, you'll see Pete out on the surfboard.
That is a fact. And here comes Thomas Davis surfing around the outside here and is going to get a piece of Russell Wilson along with Wes Horton inside. So maybe that's the strategy. Send a few more bodies after him, try and keep him in that pocket. That was the goal, try and keep him inside the pocket, but off the spot. He's been off the spot and out and around and beating him, though.
John Ryan to punt. His first punt of the night. And it's out of bounds up and around the 35-yard line. 6:15 left in the third. Hawks by 23. Now Jonathan Stewart, there he is. Perhaps the next Van Cliburn. You never know. Splits wide to the right here. The ball is at the 35-yard line as Newton fires, and it's grabbed by Ted Ginn. 9-yard gain, and we go to Michelle.
Well, Jonathan Stewart told me his passion for the piano began when he figured out how to play Lean on Me on a Fisher-Price xylophone as a little boy. But he made his name playing football at Timberline High School about an hour southwest of Seattle, and he still holds the state's high school rushing record. Stewart said growing up playing football in Washington, you dreamed of either playing for the Seahawks or against them. To achieve that is definitely a blessing.
Yeah, well, this is the 7th time in 5 seasons that he's played against them. These two teams are meeting almost as much as they're in the same division. And Newton goes down. That's Rubin who comes in and pressures him to force him to sling it away. 3rd and 1. Ron Rivera, we were talking to him yesterday, and not that he hasn't given up on the season, but he's already beginning to think about what they're going to need to do. I mean, he's got one eye on the future here.
You just wonder how much the whole Josh Norman thing tilted the scale on this season, don't you?
I'm with you on that one. 3rd and 1. 44. And this is Stewart. And not just Chris, it's not just the fact they gave up a great defensive back and all of that, but you wonder about the dynamic. You come off a season where you're 15-1, you go to the Super Bowl, and everybody was pretty shocked. I mean, the players were shocked, and getting rid of Norman for whatever reason, money or whatever, or something behind the scenes that you don't know about. But that does send shockwaves through a team. There's no doubt.
Nobody was more shocked than Josh Norman.
Right.
The minute he got the news, he pulled off on the side of the road, called Dave Gettleman, called Ron Rivera, called the owner, called everybody. Like, what?
Yep.
I thought I was franchised. I didn't think I could go anywhere. He didn't want to go anywhere.
From the 48-yard line, all kinds of time for Cam. And then he gets it picked off. Flag is thrown, though. Terrell with the interception, and we'll see if it stands. And the run back as well. And he's got some blocking. And he gets knocked down finally at the 30-yard line. Even Newton was in on the play at the end, and there's another flag down at the end of the play.
There's all kinds of stuff on that one. One of them was Ted Ginn did a backflip when somebody hit him.
KJ Wright was the guy who got Ginn. First of all, let's see about the flag at the inception of the play, during the interception, and then there's one at the very end. Referee is John Perry.
Officials trying to catch their breath after that one. They had to run 100 yards each way.
All right, Judge.
There's 2 fouls in the play. Pass interference, defense. After the change of possession, illegal low block, quarterback number 1. By rule, we'll replay the down.
After all that, so you got pass interference on Seattle, and then Newton is the guy who gets the penalty.
Yeah, well, Cam Newton probably trying to avoid the block. There was probably the interference there against Morgan. And then Cam Newton on the other end simply did not want to get hit. It wasn't like he was going low. And there's Ted Ginn getting taken out by KJ Wright. There were bodies flying all over the place on this play. And you can see Cam Newton, I guess, sort of going for the tackle in there. But you're not allowed to go low against a blocker on any sort of turnover play, whether you're on offense or defense.
I think that's when you get involved and you're just trying to get out of there. Ball at the 48. Back at a 1st and 10. And that's caught grabbed by Devin Funchess, who's the 6'4" second-year guy out of Michigan, and it's his first catch of the game.
Yep, that's what you can do. Those hard play actions here going against Deshaun Shedd. And Funchess is a guy that has a lot of ability. He has some of the same size as Kelvin Benjamin, and you kind of at their best, one of those teams that looks so impressive getting off the bus. They can play above the rim, but I think a lot of it without that running game being as good this year, some of that play action wasn't either.
And there goes Newton again, going to the end zone and off the hands of Ed Dixon, the number 2 tight end. Cannot hold it in. Second down.
Ed Dixon doesn't get to run a lot of routes. Only 34% of his plays actually a route, and he plays this beautifully. He just let it sort of fall in over the back shoulder. Cam Chancellor had no chance. Cam Newton with a perfect throw, and he just short-armed it a bit. It's one of those you just...
Yeah. Started his career with the Ravens. Played there with Joe Flacco for several seasons. Second down and 10. Newton says, let's go, let's go, let's go. Play clock down to 1. They're running himself. Flag is thrown. And the offensive backfield is going to be against Carolina.
Holding. Offense number 74. 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
That's Mike Remmers.
Let's take a look at this one. Cassius Marsh comes around the corner here. Clearly Marsh goes down. Was it a hold or? Yeah, I guess it looked like he did get inside that shoulder pad just a little bit. Sometimes you see those where it looks like the guy slips and they still get the holding call because it's such a jerky kind of action, but I thought he did get him there. Not a lot for Michael Bennett tonight, though, has there been? No. I'm sure just working his way back from that injury.
Lined up offside once.
Get some attention.
Second and 20 from the 42. And Newton throws and dropping to the ground after making the catch is Ted Ginn. So it'll be third down and long.
Here we go right there. You'll see Bennett with a little spin move inside, and at his best, the guy is a nightmare inside against those guards and different positions. I'll never forget the performance he put on in the Super Bowl, chasing around Tom Brady.
Third down, 16. Throws, and that's juggled, bobbled, and hauled in for a first down by Devin Funchess, who had not caught a pass until this drive. Frank Clark got to Newton as he delivered.
Gonna come right up there, and how Cam Newton got this ball in, taking the shot that he took, I still don't know perfectly between the 1 and the 7. Just a brave throw, all bobbled up in the air, floating around, and the long arms of Devin Funchess reeled it in as Cam Newton was taking it on the other side from Frank Clark.
At the 14. And again, incomplete. Trying to go to the end zone. That time Kelvin Benjamin covered one-on-one by Deshaun Shedd. Second down.
Yeah, and I don't think Deshaun Shedd has gotten quite enough credit this season for the job that he's doing. Remember, Richard Sherman's on the other side, so everybody is going after you. An opposing quarterback rating of 82, very solid play on that side, and Richard Sherman able to do his thing against a lot of these #1 receivers because he's gotten that sort of support on the other side.
Second down and 10 from the 14-yard line. And this time Newton's going to run it, but he's not going to be able to get by K.J. Wright, who envelops him behind the line of scrimmage, setting up a third down.
K.J. Wright's just such a smart football player. He really is. He's going to see this pulling action, and he'll just follow in behind it. Oh, that's where you're going? Okay. And here comes Cam Newton. Sometimes the smartest of the linebackers in the league don't even watch the action going on in the backfield. They're watching what those linemen do and then exploding up in the hole to make a play. Those two are awfully good together. Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright.
Newton on 3rd and 12, and that pass is low and incomplete. It'll be 4th down. Funchess was the intended receiver with 1.5 minutes to play in the quarter. And you would think down by 23. Might as well go for it. The touchdown turns it into a 2-possession game. Otherwise, a field goal leaves it at 3 possessions.
Got the one-on-one matchup down at the bottom with Benjamin and Sherman.
And Newton fires, and that's incomplete. At the goal line, but a flag is thrown. Intended for Benjamin. You got Sherman right there. And you might have offensive pass interference. And that appears to be the case because the Seattle offense is coming out onto the field.
Pass interference, offense number 13. Penalties declined. First down.
He'd have a little fun. Why not? His team is up by 23 with 16.5 minutes to go. Well, try not to miss the one-night only musical event of the holiday season featuring an all-star cast. It is Hairspray Live, and you see it right here Wednesday night on NBC. Seattle begins this drive from the 16. And that's Nick Van Adt making the catch.
How about this guy, former basketball player at Western Kentucky, and a good one, but watch how he guards. He's got his hands out flat, right? And he kind of plays tackle that same way with his hands out like a guy guarding in basketball, something like that. So, but it's a difference. Now he's playing football. He has very little experience. This is a little closer. Maybe Mike Rimmer's here on the outside. Watch how he's always fighting to keep those hands inside on the chest plate. So you get the feeling that George Fant, he's plenty good enough athlete. He's just learning a position.
Yeah, broke in mid-season.
Offense number 78. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Rookie did a pretty good job. Didn't quite play as well in the past couple of games, but having his moments tonight.
Yep, they say everything that George Fant does is the first time in his life at tackle. You know, it just is. He faced a great speed rusher and Noah Spence, and first half he looked terrible, and he sort of settles in. But he's learning the learning curve and the athleticism, plenty good enough to play left tackle in this league.
And the Seattle offensive line, 2 rookie starters. That's caught, and that's going to be a first down. And slugging his way with a flag thrown is Curse, McLean covering.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 27, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And that is McLean. Marshawn Lynch is in the house. There he is. Retired after so many good seasons in Seattle, making his presence known.
Messing with him a little bit, having some fun.
Having a little fun.
Getting a little kidney shot there.
Yep.
Boy, he is some player, though, wasn't he? Holy smokes.
30-7, end of 3. Sunday Night Football resumes after these messages. Tonight's aerial coverage being brought to you by Geico. Looking at Elliott Bay, fronting Seattle. Space Needle in the background. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya. Week 13, Sunday Night Football. What a week next week coming up. Oakland, Kansas City Thursday, and Cowboys Giants a week from tonight. First down as we start the 4th quarter here, and this is Rawls, and we go to Michelle.
You were talking about left tackle George Fant. You know, he told me he was a basketball player through and through. He never even considered football until several people inside the Western Kentucky football program convinced him he could become an NFL tight end. So Fant used his 5th year of eligibility to play football. But Al, He played just 28 snaps in 2 games, none of them on the offensive line.
And Michelle, it's amazing, and it's also a credit to somebody like John Schneider, who's the GM here in Seattle. If they go out and they can find somebody like that to begin with. 2nd down and 6. Thomas Rawls stopped for no gain.
Not bad having Tom Cable over there to coach him up just a little bit as well. So, you know, it's what the league is right now. I mean, there are guys around the National Football League playing left tackle that probably growing up would have never had any idea, but they're looking for big, long athletes. You can see he's a quality basketball player, but to step in the National Football League on a team that has a legitimate shot at going to the Super Bowl and play left tackle with the little experience he has in this game, it's really remarkable.
3rd and 6. Wilson throws, and that'll be a 1st down. Doug Baldwin. Well, Baldwin tonight, he hasn't made much noise, caught a few short passes, but over the years, these two guys are some combo platter.
I just don't think there's really anybody better as a slot receiver inside than what Doug Baldwin is, and he has some of that Steve Smith stuff to him. You know, that chip on his shoulder. I was never good enough. You guys didn't want me. The organization actually had to send him a letter that basically told him how much they really did want him and how valuable he could be to them.
And getting free and wide open, speaking of one, Mr. Baldwin. So after he'd caught 6 for 36, this one deep downfield, and a 1st down on a gain of 34.
He'll do a little block inside, and then Terrell McClain looks at him, or Robert McClain, and thinking that here's a guy that is just blocking, takes a step up, and then Baldwin gets right behind him. All the little things, when you help your team, you help them block, somehow you always get rewarded. But that is one intense competitor on a team that is loaded with them. Pete Carroll goes out and he talks about it. I just look for guys that want to compete more. They want to win more than anybody else out there. You can find them on the basketball courts all over New York City.
Timeout Seahawks. Premier League Sunday coming to NBCSN. You got the Chelsea-West Brom match at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, setting it off Sunday. You know, I'm looking at that guy and I'm thinking that's when Bill Parcells would say, that's why you do all them sit-ups.
I don't think that's what Ezekiel Elliott was looking for, that cropped off shirt.
No, me neither.
Fireman Ed and Fat Man Fred, we got them all out there.
Oh, man alive.
I love it.
All right.
I love it.
On a 40-degree night. Meanwhile, you've got Kyle Love, defensive tackle, who needs the attention.
How about that guy? How about Michael Bennett? Everything he says to me is funny. He talks about playing against Cam Newton, and he said, you know, there's about 15 guys in the league. Everybody's, for the most part, kind of normal. Then there's like 15 guys that are mutants. That Cam Newton's a mutant. If you're playing Madden and you had 99 ratings on everything a football player could do, that would be Cam Newton. Those are the... You can't ask him a question and just get some kind of straight answer out of the guy. You talk to him about rushing the passer and who's the weak link on the offensive line. And he said, hey, I don't go in looking for ducks. That's not my job. I got to treat them all like they're ducks. He goes, if you go out looking for a duck, you're not going to find a duck. You just got to treat them all like ducks. And I just nod like it makes perfect sense to me.
How much fun was that household growing up? Martellus and his brother.
Gosh.
And Wilson throws to the end zone, and it's almost intercepted. And the intended receiver, Graham, has to wind up playing, in effect, defensive back on James Bradbury.
Yeah, they go right back to the play action one more time, but Bradbury not fooled on this one as Jimmy Graham gets out to the backside. Just couldn't get quite enough on it. It's just still so strange for me to see number 24 James Bradbury instead of Josh Norman out there. I find myself having to catch myself all the time. He's a good young player, physical guy. He's somebody they have really high hopes for, as they do Worley, but not quite the same.
3rd and 8. And Wilson fires, caught. Graham tries to back his way into the end zone, and they hold him out. But it's going to be a first down and goal as he drops the mic.
All those offensive linemen, this is their favorite moment, and it almost happened. Jimmy Graham's going to catch it. He's fighting for it, and these offensive linemen are going to come screaming, trying to push him in the end zone. Here they come now. Oh, they just couldn't quite get there. Both of them on the ground, but that is what the Seattle Seahawks just love, and Greg Olsen has seen enough of this show.
Seahawks have a good shot at bringing up at least 500 yards of total offense. And they take another timeout with 11:12 to go in the fourth. Arrowhead Stadium on Thursday night. What a scene that's going to be. NBC will have it for you. We'll be there for the Raiders and the Chiefs. AFC West battle coming your way on Thursday night football right here on the National Broadcasting Company. So it's first and goal. Rawls has 2 touchdowns tonight on 2 runs. And this time it is Wilson throwing, and it's Graham for the touchdown. Jimmy Graham almost got in on the prior pass play, does this time. And they keep on rolling, and for Jimmy Graham, 6 catches and a touchdown.
Michael Griffin not really being used to being in this kind of situation. He's more of the down in the box kind of guy, now having to cover one of the great pass receiving tight ends of all time, Jimmy Graham, who gives you the reverse spike dunk, whatever you want to call that, sort of in your face.
His 5th touchdown catch of the year. And it's Wilson's first touchdown pass of the night. The other 3 touchdowns have come on the runs, 2 by Rawls and the 75-yarder by Lockett. Hauschka bangs it through, and with 11:09 to play here in Seattle, it's the Seahawks 37 and the Panthers 7. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Verizon. It's always a great gift on Verizon. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. By Chevrolet, the most awarded car company 2 years in a row. And by Samsung Pay, turn your phone into a wallet. It's the Wild Lights. They're called at Woodland Park Zoo this holiday season. It's like the NBC logo. The old one, anyway. Hauschka to kick off, 37-7. The Seahawks tonight, totally dominant. 472 yards of offense for the home club. And the Panthers get it at 25 when we come back to CenturyLink Field. Don't want to miss that one. A week from tonight, we go to MetLife Stadium. The Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. Cowboys will try to win their 12th in a row. The Giants losing to Pittsburgh today, trying to pick up their 9th win and stay very much in contention for at least a wild card berth. That is next Sunday night on Sunday Night Football. And we'll tell you about the following Sunday after this first play of the drive. And this is Stewart. And we're flexing into the following week, which is the 18th night of December. We're back with the Cowboys again, as they will take on the red-hot Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who won 4 in a row and are tied now for the top spot with Atlanta in the NFC South. So that'll be Sunday night, 2 weeks from tonight. Tampa Bay at Dallas.
It's always exciting when a new hot team comes flexing into Sunday Night Football. We get a chance to watch it.
And they are. And they knocked off San Diego on the road today. And there's a big hole here exploited by Jonathan Stewart all the way to the Seattle 46-yard line. Gain of 29.
Well, you've got what is typically a guard coming across here and going to have a trap coming across the formation on the top of Rubin there. Sort of an interesting design. The guy who typically plays right guard and does all that pulling, they say, oh, what the heck, you're going to tackle. We're just going to do it from there, and it worked.
47 yards, 29 on that one. Apart from that, he'd been held to 2 yards a carry prior to that burst. Newton started to stumble and then just flings that one out of bounds. 2nd and 10.
Let's talk about this guy, Frank Clark, because I really do think that this is a guy that has a chance to be a star in this league. He still is pretty raw, but watch this little loop back inside of a sophisticated blocker in Trey Turner. Not used to playing tackle, as we talked about, but Frank Clark, 7.5 sacks on the year, an outstanding run player. And now they mix him in with Cliff Averill, who has 10 sacks on the year. And we all know what Michael Bennett can do on the outside. This is a pretty formidable pass rush right now.
Well, we've seen a lot of spin moves. That was a pretty good one.
Yep.
And that's tipped, then it's incomplete. Ted Ginn couldn't handle it. Make it 3rd down and 10.
That's one of the things we haven't seen out of Ted Ginn here lately, is that this guy has figured out a way to become a wide receiver. He is making catches and running routes that he didn't used to do much of. Look at that quickness on the outside. That ball surprised him just a bit, but he has always been a big playmaker with some of those kick returns, but now doing the same thing. He already has that long touchdown tonight.
Well, the only Carolina touchdown was that 55-yarder on the 3rd and 17 in the 2nd quarter. 3rd and 10. And a little bit behind and incomplete, intended for Funchess. That'll make it 4th down. Talking about that Seattle schedule the rest of the way at the top. Talked about the fact they were not going to meet a team that at the moment has a winning record. Next week they go to Green Bay. They're at 500. Rams come in on a Thursday night. We'll have that one on NBC on the 15th. Arizona comes in here. And then at San Francisco. The Rams, for some crazy reason, they had Seattle's number. Beat them earlier this year. Beat them both times last year.
But you like Seattle's chances for me?
I do. I think I do. And that one will bound into the end zone. Yeah, I do like their chances. A week from Thursday.
I'm taking them to win tonight.
We'll be back. Very good. Well, there's Luke Kuechly. For him, it has to be so tough. You're on the sideline. This is when Lockett ran the 75 yards down the sideline for a touchdown, talking to the field judge, maybe about throwing a flag or whatever. But, you know, it's got to be very frustrating for that guy. And we saw him sustain that concussion in the game against New Orleans a couple of weeks ago. So the backup quarterback, Trevon Boykin, will come in, the rookie out of TCU, free agent, so he's the guy who backs up Wilson, and he will get some work in. And let's go to Michelle.
Well, Al, the emotions emanating from Luke Kuechly after that concussion provided one of the most profound moments of this NFL season. He told me he has watched replays of the incident and cannot explain why he was crying the way he was. He said it's been suggested to him that some brain injuries can cause uncontrollable laughter or tears. And he said, I hope that's what it was. Otherwise, I just can't explain it.
Yeah, it was shocking, Michelle. And in that game, as Boykin throws, and that's caught by Tyler Lockett. We all thought, and even the players thought, we talked to a couple of them prior to the game about what they thought had happened, and we thought it was a lower body injury at first, and it turned out obviously to be the concussion. We saw that emotional scene. He's in the protocol right now, and talked to him before the game, and you know he wants to play. He's a football player and is hoping to get back next week, but who knows? It's up to the people in charge of clearing him and letting him know he can go back and get on the active roster again.
I thought it was scary to see him in tears like that. I thought something happened that he considered to be sort of career-ending, and we couldn't quite figure out exactly what it was. But to see that kind of football player reduced to tears in that way, it was a startling, frightening kind of moment for one of Cincinnati's finest. That is a guy that on and off the field about as good as they come.
Polk just picked up the first down. Michelle, you want to weigh in a little bit more?
Well, yeah, he said that, you know, he took the hit and couldn't make heads or tails of what happened next. As far as coming back, Just like you said, Ed, he loves football. I asked if his family is pushing back on that decision at all, and he said, they just want me to be smart.
Yeah, well, and you got Rawls, and his big night keeps on going. I'm sorry, it was Pope. Just had the numbers backwards. And that's 502 yards as Pope picks up a first down on a gain of 18.
Watch Jermaine Ifedi inside. Now, this guy is still learning a lot. He sort of started out, he was going to be the tackle, and then they move him inside to guard, sort of like what they did with Justin Britt. But this Jermaine Ifedi is a powerful run blocker. He is a guy, if he can just figure out are they coming from the right or the left, sometimes that guard position can be confusing with all those loops and stunts, and he doesn't have much experience. He is a guy that can move people in the run game.
239 on the ground and maybe 1 or 2 more. I was thinking about, Kuechly. And that if you're Kuechly and the team is 4-8,
see you next year,
which they will be, and you had a concussion last year, and that cost them 3 games. Now you have that thing. I don't know. What do you do?
It wouldn't even be close in my mind. Now I understand that you've got an obligation and he's going to want to play. So many times now after having a couple of boys that played football, as a parent, I look at things much differently maybe than I did as a player or a coach or even a broadcaster as I look at the whole big picture now. But this is a superstar player with another good 8 to 10 years in front of him with his career. And what do you gain this year? You let him go heal completely, and I'm sure they will anyway, and the doctors will check him out, but just don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah. Decision to come down the line. As we say, though, he has not been cleared. He's in protocol.
I will say that Thomas Davis, when we asked him about it, his running mate and linebacker, was impressed with what the league was doing from the concussion standpoint and thought that all the protocols were actually making a difference.
3rd and 7, going deep downfield, making the catch along the sideline is Jermaine Kearse.
Oh my goodness, Kearse I think got away with one there.
Pressure was put on West Horton.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense. Number 96, 15-yard penalty, first down.
And that was Horton who put the heat on, and Boykin was able to hang in there and still get it down the sideline for 31 yards.
Let's take a look. Sometimes these guys are so good at these little subtle push-offs. See if he got one here. Just enough, and it doesn't look like much, but it sort of propels you forward and the other guy back just a notch, and then you can make the play. Nice throw, though. Out there by Trevon Boykin, who really tore it up at TCU. He threw for over 10,000 yards there and 86 touchdown passes, and coming right in and getting it done here.
Yep, didn't get drafted. He was a free agent. And they have found some gems. Of course, Wilson picked in the 3rd round, has started since the first game of his rookie season. 1st and goal, and they give the ball now to Farmer. And I'll make it 2nd and goal. We're under 5 minutes now to play.
Yeah, Doug Baldwin went undrafted. You're talking about some of the best players on this team. Yeah. Richard Sherman. Up in was that the 5th round that Richard Sherman went in?
Yep.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of guys. And that goes back to Pete Carroll and what he talks about. He doesn't care where you're drafted. He doesn't care what your pedigree is. He goes out to practice every day, and whoever's competing the hardest and winning the battles, they play.
2nd and goal, and the stuff in the backfield is Pope. You think about, there's a 53-man roster. 25 guys on the Seahawks were undrafted. 20, that's half the roster. They have only 2 first-rounders.
Well, and about 10 of them are making all the money.
Right.
And the rest of them are all these hyper competitive kind of guys that are out there and just fighting for their job. And then they have the superstar group that is out there supposed to win the football games. There's another one right there that sort of came from nowhere. George Fant, their starting left tackle. I still can't get over his story to get to be left tackle in this league.
3rd and goal. Plus Boykin out. And that pass is incomplete. You look at Boykin, who's 6 feet, short for a quarterback. Wilson is 5'10" and 5'8". So what they did is they went out and they got a backup quarterback that could sort of run the same sort of offense that Wilson runs.
Yeah, you know, he ran a 4.73, and there were some people that thought that Boykin might end up playing wide receiver in this league, but you're right. He comes in there and can have some of the same sort of skill sets that they get from Russell Wilson. Now, obviously not to that level, but you never know.
Now, Hauschka, this will be his 4th field goal of the night, and it's good. Well, this one was already over before that, and 3 more, though. 40-7, Seattle. General Manager John Schneider, Executive VP and the GM, and we talked about him, and he and Pete Carroll make some combination. Team's been to 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls. Last year got to the playoffs, won a game against Minnesota before they got defeated by Carolina. Right now they're in a position to be the number 2 seed in the NFC, and that's huge, of course, because if you've forgotten how the playoff thing goes, you're 1 or 2, you don't play a wild card game. You go right into the next round, and you have a home game.
Yep.
Then if you're the 1 seed, you get the conference championship game in your ballpark. Assuming you get there. A yard into the end zone. Fozzie Whitaker jumps into his own man and gets taken down up at the 30-yard line. 3:20 remaining. Seahawks on their way to win number 8. Well, for Cam Newton, the last 2 games he's been under 50%, and tonight he's probably not going to get there either. Stays in the game at 41.9%, so it'll be the first time he's been below 50 in 3 straight games, and the night started with him not playing on the first play because of a disciplinary situation. So Derek Anderson had 1 pass tonight, and he's really thrilled that he got to throw that one.
It was a good pass.
It was a good pass. It was deflected and intercepted.
Yeah.
You want to know how to get a 0.0 pass rating? You got it. 1 pass, 1 pick.
Have a wardrobe malfunction.
Right. That's right. And this is Stewart picking up 3. So let's take a look right now at the playoff scenario updated. We're going to give Seattle the win for the moment. So Dallas on top. They clinched the playoff spot. They're going to postseason. Seattle right there. Detroit a half game back of Seattle, and then Atlanta leads the South. If the season ended tonight, the Giants and Tampa Bay would be your wild card teams.
How about Detroit? Ever since Jim Bob Cooter took over as that play caller, this team and Matthew Stafford have just found ways to win every week, sometimes in the most improbable ways.
Did it again today, and this is Mike Tolbert who gets a carry. Mike Tolbert was the guy who was going to be the recipient of the first pass of the game and couldn't handle it, leading to the pick. And it will be 3rd down, 3rd and 5, with a relatively good chance this is going to take us to the 2-minute warning.
Cam doesn't look too anxious for a quick one here, so
nope.
Yes, you're right.
It's good day trading right there. 2-minute warning. 40-7 Seahawks. That's what you're going to see next Sunday night. Cowboys Giants. Michelle on the field on the Volkswagen postgame report. Stars of the game: Mike Tirico, Tony Dungy, Mike Florio weigh in, and we will preview that Raiders Chiefs game coming up Thursday night on NBC and the Sunday night game. So we'll pack up George Hill, Malibu Kelly Hayes, Andy Freeland, Melissa Horton, the whole gang. Pack them up and head to Kansas City, where it's supposed to be very toasty on Thursday. Yeah. Looking at the forecast, the high of 22. 3rd and 5. And that'll be a first down as Brenton Burson makes the catch.
Carrie Underwood on Sunday night and the Pentatonics on Thursday night. Love all their songs.
We have a game on Tuesday.
We should.
Do the NBA?
You know what? I would like to do one NBA.
Oh, I love doing the NBA. This is Mike Tolbert. Taken down to the 42 by Bobby Wagner. Due to my good buddy Doc Rivers, who I worked with years ago, huge football fan. Keeps calling me, what am I going to do with my Bears? I said, Doc, I don't know. You know, they won today, though.
Let them play the Niners every week.
Right. He's perfect.
Doc with that big hook of his. Does he still have that big hook?
He does.
Starts that sucker out over the Pacific. Comes all the way out of bounds left.
The only guy who could hit a drive 3 fairways over. 2nd and 10 from the 42. The draw play here. Straight up the middle goes Tolbert. Well, Pete Carroll, he loves the second half of the season. And you get into December, you look at that since 2011. That counts tonight, Freddie, I take it? It does. 19-4. Carolina will go to 18-5. Patriots, of course. What else is new? Green Bay and Denver. That's why those teams are almost always in the playoffs.
What a job Pete Carroll's done here, though. Just fantastic. Looks like he gets younger every year, too.
Yep. And the game will end on a little Tolbert run.
No such thing.
Yeah, right. And that will wrap it up. Little collegiality to end this one in Seattle. Pete Carroll, another victory, and the Volkswagen post-game report comes up on the other side of the break.